The shuttle landed with a soft hum on the metal floor of station, stood up from her seat and took a deep breath. This was her new home for the next 2 years. She grabbed her small bag and walked toward the exit door. The station was bigger than she had imagined. Tall ceilings stretched far above her head. Strange lights of blue and purple colored the walls. Aliens of many different species walked past her. Some had 4 arms. Some had scales. Some floated instead of walking. Smiled at each one, but most of them looked away quickly. A tall alien with gray skin and 6 eyes approached her. His body was thin like a stick, and he wore a simple white uniform. "You are the human?" he asked. His voice sounded like wind blowing through a pipe. "Yes, I am. I am here for the position." The alien blinked all 6 of his eyes one by one. "I am administrator. I manage this station. Come, I will take you to your work area." Followed him through the busy hallways. She noticed that many aliens moved away when they saw her. Some whispered to each other. She had heard that humans were rare in this part of space. Most species knew very little about Earth or its people. "Your species is strange," said as they walked. "You are small, you have no claws, no scales, no venom, yet you travel alone across the galaxy. Laugh softly, we are tougher than we look." Made a sound that might have been doubt. "We shall see. Your job will not be easy. You will care for the cubs." The name made pause. She had read about them during her training. They were a powerful species. Their bodies were covered in dark fur. They had sharp teeth and long claws. They were known as fierce warriors throughout the galaxy. Cubs asked, "Baby?" "Yes, 3 of them. Their parents are diplomats working on the station. The cubs need a caretaker while their parents work." Stopped walking and turned to face her. "I must warn you, human, cubs are not like the children of your world. They are predators from birth. They will try to establish dominance over you. They will growl. They will show their teeth. They will try to make you afraid." Nodded slowly. "I understand." "Do you?" 6 eyes narrowed. 3 other caretakers have already quit. One was a with armor skin. Another was a with poisoned spines. Both left crying. The cubs terrified them. Thought about this for a moment, then she smiled. "I would still like to try." Stared at her for a long time. Then he shrugged his thin shoulders. "Very well, it is your choice. Follow me." They walked down more hallways until they reached a large door. The door was made of thick metal. There were claw marks on its surface. Pressed a button and the door slid open. The room inside was big and bright. Soft mats covered the floor. There were toys scattered everywhere. Climbing structures reached up toward the ceiling. It looked like a playground. But's eyes were not on the room. They were on the 3 small figures standing in the corner. The cubs were about the size of human 5-year-olds. Their bodies were covered in thick black fur. Their ears were pointed like a cat's ears. Their eyes glowed yellow in the light. And when they saw, they pulled back their lips to show rows of sharp white teeth. A low growl filled the room. "That is," said, pointing to the largest cub. "He is the leader. The one beside him she is the fastest. And the smallest one is Bren. He is the youngest, but he bites the hardest." The 3 cubs spread out slowly. They moved like hunters circling their prey. Their claws clicked against the floor with each step. Did not move. She simply watched them with calm eyes. "I will leave you now," said. He took several steps backward toward the door. "There is a panic button on the wall if you need help. Try not to die, human." The door closed behind him with a heavy sound. Was alone with the cubs. The largest one stepped forward. He was trying to look scary. His fur stood up on his back. His tail was puffed out like a brush. He growled louder and louder. Put down her bag. She crouched down so that she was at their eye level. This seemed to confuse the cubs. Most creatures tried to look bigger when threatened. This human was making herself smaller. "Hello there," said softly. "My name is, I am going to take care of you." Hissed at her. The sound was sharp and angry. Bren, the smallest one, ran forward suddenly. He stopped right in front of his face and snapped his teeth together with a loud click. It was meant to scare her. It was meant to make her run away. Did not flinch. She did not look scared at all. Instead, she tilted her head to one side and smiled. "Oh my," she said, "what big teeth you have." Bren blinked. He had not expected this response. He looked back at his siblings with confusion in his yellow eyes. Growled again. He came closer, standing beside Bren. He raised one paw and showed his claws. They were black and sharp like little knives. "And such sharp claws," continued. Her voice was warm and gentle. "You three must be very strong." The cubs looked at each other. Something was wrong. This was not how things were supposed to go. Creatures were supposed to be afraid of them. Creatures were supposed to run away or freeze in terror. This human was doing neither. Tried a different approach. She let out a loud roar. Well, it was meant to be a roar. It came out more like a squeaky yell, but for a cub her age it was quite impressive. Smile grew wider. "What a beautiful voice you have." His ears flattened against her head. She did not know what to do. No one had ever called her roar beautiful before. The three cubs gathered together in a small group. They whispered to each other in their own language. Could not understand the words, but she could tell they were confused. Their plan was not working. After a moment, stepped forward again. He puffed up his chest and made himself look as big as possible. He let out the loudest growl he could manage. It echoed off the walls of the room. Waited until he was finished. Then she clapped her hands together softly. "Very impressive," she said. "You three are the bravest little cubs I have ever seen." His growl stopped suddenly. His mouth hung open in surprise. No one had ever called them brave before. Everyone always called them scary, dangerous, monsters, but never brave. Reached into her bag and pulled out a small container. She opened it and the smell of sweet treats filled the air. The cubs' noses twitched. "I brought some snacks from Earth," said. "Would you like to try some? We can eat together and get to know each other." The cubs did not move. They were still trying to understand this strange human. She was not afraid. She was not angry. She was just kind. It was something they had never experienced before from an outsider. Sat down on one of the soft mats. She placed a small treat in front of her and ate one herself. Then she placed 3 more treats on the mat and waited. The cubs watched her with wide yellow eyes. Their tails had stopped puffing. Their fur had settled down. They were no longer trying to look scary. They were just curious now. Slowly, very slowly, Bren took a step toward her, then another, then another. Sat perfectly still. She did not want to scare him away. She just smiled and waited. This was going to be an interesting assignment. 3 days had passed since arrived at station. The cubs had not stopped trying to scare her. Every morning, they would hide behind the climbing structures and jump out at her. Every afternoon, they would growl and show their teeth during meal time. Every evening, they would circle her like tiny hunters. And every time, would simply smile and call them her brave little bobbies. It was driving them crazy. Sat in the corner of the playroom with his siblings. His yellow eyes were fixed on the human woman who was calmly reading a book on the soft mat. "She is broken," said in their language. "Something is wrong with her brain." Nodded her furry head. "She does not understand fear. Maybe humans do not have that emotion." Bren, the smallest cub, was chewing on a toy. "Maybe she is deaf. Maybe she cannot hear our growls." "She can hear," said. "She responds when we make sounds. She just does not react correctly." They watched as turned a page in her book. She looked so peaceful, so calm. It made Sfur stand up with frustration. "We need a new plan," he said. "Today, we show her what real cubs can do." The other 2 cubs leaned in closer. Their eyes glowed with interest. "We attack together," continued. "All 3 of us at once. We jump on her and pin her down. We put our teeth near her throat. That will make any creature afraid." His tail swished back and forth. "Yes, that is a good plan. No one can stay calm with teeth at their throat." Bren stopped chewing his toy. But what if she gets hurt? She is very soft. She has no fur to protect her. Thought about this. It was true that they did not want to actually hurt her. They just wanted to scare her. That was how established dominance. The strong made the weak afraid. That was the way of things. We will be careful, said. We will not use our claws. We will not really bite. We will just show her that we are powerful. The three cubs nodded to each other. The plan was set. They waited until put down her book. She stretched her arms above her head and yawned. Then she stood up and walked toward the window to look at the stars outside. This was their chance. Gave a signal with his tail. The cubs spread out silently. They moved like shadows across the floor. Their paws made no sound. Their breathing was quiet. They were perfect little predators. Stood at the window with her back to them. She seemed completely unaware of the danger behind her. Counted in his head, 3, 2, 1. The cubs launched themselves at her. What happened next was something none of them expected. Spun around at the last moment. Her arms opened wide, and instead of screaming or falling down, she caught all three of them in a big hug. "Oh," she cried out with joy, "did you miss me? Are you coming to give me cuddles?" Found himself pressed against her warm chest, her arms wrapped around him and his siblings like a soft blanket. He could hear her heart beating. It was steady and calm, not fast with fear, not loud with panic, just a gentle rhythm. "What wonderful bobbies you are," said. She rubbed her cheek against furry head. "Coming to give you some love." Was squished between arm and Bren's body. She tried to growl, but it came out muffled. Her face was buried in the soft fabric of shirt. Bren had his mouth open, ready to put his teeth near her throat, but somehow he had ended up with his nose pressed against her neck instead. She smelled like flowers and warmth. It was a nice smell. "Let me look at you," said. She pulled back slightly and looked at each cub's face. "My brave little bobbies, you are getting so big and strong." Finally found his voice. "We were attacking you." Blinked, then she laughed. It was a warm, happy sound. "Attacking me? Is that what you were doing?" She kissed the top of his head. "Well, you attacked me right into my heart." Did not understand. He looked at his siblings for help, but they seemed just as confused as him. "Now," said, "since you are all here in my arms, why don't we sit down and have a nice talk?" She carried all three of them to the soft mat. She sat down with them in her lap. It was strange. Was the leader of their small pack. He was supposed to be feared. He was supposed to be in control. But somehow he was now sitting in a human's lap like a newborn. "I know you three have been trying very hard to scare me," said. She stroked his fur gently. "And I want you to know that I think it is very impressive." "You do?" asked quietly. "Yes, your growls are very loud. Your teeth are very sharp. Your claws are very pointy," smiled down at them. "Any other creature would be terrified of you." "But not you," said. It was not a question. "But not me," agreed. "Do you want to know why?" The cubs nodded. Was quiet for a moment. Her hand continued to stroke their fur as she thought about how to explain. "On my planet," she began, "there are many dangerous animals. We have creatures with teeth bigger than yours. We have creatures with poison in their blood. We have creatures that could crush me with one step." The cubs listened with wide eyes. "But humans learned something long ago," continued. "We learned that the most dangerous things in the universe can also be the most wonderful. A fire can burn you, but it can also keep you warm. Water can drown you, but it can also keep you alive. And creatures with sharp teeth can hurt you, but they can also become your best friends." Bren tilted his head. "You are not afraid because you see us as potential friends." Nodded. "When I look at you three, I do not see monsters. I see children. Beautiful, strong, wonderful children who need someone to care for them." The room was silent for a long moment. Then did something unexpected. She relaxed. Her body went soft in his arms. Her eyes closed halfway. A strange sound came from her throat. His eyes widened. "Are you purring?" eyes snapped open. She looked horrified. Purring was something only very young cubs did when they felt safe and happy. She had not purred in years. "I was not purring," said quickly. "I was just clearing my throat." Smiled but did not argue. She just continued to stroke fur. Felt his own body starting to relax. The human's warmth was spreading through him. Her heartbeat was like a gentle song. Despite everything, he felt safe. "Why do you call us Bobbies?" he asked. "We are not Bobbies, we are almost grown." Looked at him with soft eyes. "On Earth, we call the ones we love our Bobbies. It does not matter how old they are. It is a term of affection." "Affection," Bren repeated the strange word. "It means I care about you. It means I think you are special. It means I want to protect you and make you happy." Bren's tail wagged slightly. He caught himself and made it stop, but it was too late, had seen. "You care about us?" asked. "But you have only known us for 3 days, and we have been trying to scare you the whole time." Laughed again. "Yes, but you have been trying so hard. You put so much effort into your growls and your scary faces. How could I not care about such dedicated little cubs?" The logic made no sense but somehow it also made perfect sense. "No one has ever talked to us like this before," admitted quietly. "Other caretakers just screamed and ran away. Then they missed out on knowing 3 amazing cubs, pulled them closer. I am not going anywhere. You can growl at me and hiss at me and try to scare me all you want. I will still be here. I will still call you my brave little Bobbies." Something warm bloomed in his chest. It was an unfamiliar feeling. He did not have a word for it. But for the first time in his life, he did not want to scare this creature away. He wanted her to stay. 2 weeks had passed. The playroom was no longer a place of war. It had become something different, something warmer. Sat on the floor within her lap. She was brushing the young cub's dark fur with a special comb she had bought from the station's market. Eyes were closed, and a constant purring sound came from her chest. She no longer tried to hide it. Nearby and Bren were playing a game with blocks. They were building a tower together, trying to make it as tall as possible. Every time it fell down, they would laugh and start again. Laughing, that was new. Before came, the cubs rarely laughed. They growled, they snarled, they hissed, but they did not laugh. Said sleepily, "Why is your fur only on your head?" Smiled as she continued brushing. "Humans are just made that way. We have a little bit of fur on our bodies, but it is very thin. We call it hair." "That seems dangerous," said. "What protects your skin?" "We wear clothes, and we stay in warm places." "Thought about this. I will keep you warm. When it is cold, you can hug me." His heart melted. She leaned down and kissed the top of his head. "Thank you, my brave little baby. That is very sweet of you." The door to the playroom opened. Administrator walked in, followed by 2 large adults. The adults had thick black fur like the cubs, but they were much bigger. Their eyes glowed yellow, and their bodies were covered in old scars from many battles. Recognized them from their pictures. They were the cubs' parents, Ambassador and his mate, Warrior. The cubs immediately stood up. Their playful behavior disappeared. They stood straight and tall, trying to look proper in front of their parents. Looked around the room with a frown. "We came to check on our children. We heard strange reports." "Strange reports?" asked. She gently moved off her lap and stood up. Stepped forward. She was even taller than her mate. Her voice was deep and serious. "We heard that our cubs have stopped trying to establish dominance. We heard that they play games and make strange, happy sounds. We heard that they sit in your lap like newborns." The cubs looked down at the floor. They seemed embarrassed. "Is this true?" asked. His eyes were fixed on. "Have you become weak, my son?" His paws trembled slightly. "Father, He is not weak," said firmly. Everyone in the room turned to look at her. His yellow eyes narrowed. "What did you say, human?" Stood up. She was small compared to the adults. Her head barely reached chest, but she did not back down. "I said is not weak. None of these cubs are weak. They are some of the bravest children I have ever met. Made a sound that was almost a laugh. Brave, they purr like bobbies, they play with toys, they let a tiny human pick them up and hold them. Yes, said, and that takes more courage than you know. The room went very quiet. Even administrator seemed frozen in place. Took a step toward, her claws clicked on the floor. Explain yourself, human. Choose your words carefully. Did not move back. She met glowing eyes without fear. Your children have been taught that strength means making others afraid. They have been taught that power comes from dominance and intimidation. But that is the easy path. Anyone can be scary. Anyone can make others fear them. She paused to look at each cub. They were watching her with hope in their eyes. The hard thing, continued, is to let yourself be soft, to show kindness when you could show cruelty, to open your heart when you could close it. Your cubs have learned that lesson. They have chosen to be gentle even though they could be fierce. That is not weakness, that is strength. Growled low in his throat. Pretty words, but in our culture, softness gets you killed. Maybe in war, said. But we are not at war here. Your children are on a peaceful station, surrounded by species from all across the galaxy. The ability to be gentle, to make friends, to connect with others, that will serve them better than any growl or snarl. Stared at for a long moment, then she looked at her cubs. Come here, she said to them. The 3 cubs walked slowly toward their mother. Their heads were down. They expected to be scolded. They expected to be told they were a disappointment. But did something unexpected. She knelt down so that she was at their level. Her fierce face softened just a little. Is what this human says true? Do you feel braver when you are kind? Looked up at his mother. He was trembling, but he spoke clearly. Yes, mother. Before, I was always angry and scared. I thought everyone was my enemy, but showed me that not everyone wants to hurt me. She showed me that I can be strong and gentle at the same time. Nodded quickly. She never treats us like monsters. She treats us like we are special. Bren spoke last. His voice was small but steady. She calls us her brave little bobbies. At first I thought it was an insult, but now I understand. She says it because she loves us. The word hung in the air. Love. It was not a word used often. It was considered soft and weak. But when Bren said it, it did not sound weak at all. It sounded powerful. Stood up slowly. She turned to face again. For a long moment, no one moved. Then did something that shocked everyone in the room. She bowed her head slightly toward. Human, she said, I do not fully understand your ways. In our culture, we show strength through fear. It is how we have survived for thousands of years. She lifted her head. Her eyes were not angry anymore. They were thoughtful. But perhaps, she continued, there are other kinds of strength that we have not learned. Perhaps our cubs are discovering something that we missed. Made a frustrated sound. You cannot be serious. She has made our children soft. Soft turned to her mate. Look at them, really look. The ambassador looked at his cubs. For the first time, he seemed to see something beyond their posture and their attempt to look proper. He saw something in their eyes, a light that had not been there before. They are happy, said quietly. When was the last time our cubs were truly happy? Had no answer. Turned back to, human, you will continue to care for our children. Of course, said. And you will teach them more of this, gentleness, this kindness. Paused. But you will also let them be, they must not forget their heritage. Smiled. I would never want them to forget who they are. I love them exactly as they are, fierce and gentle, strong and soft in mine. Something strange happened then. Bren broke away from his siblings and ran toward. He wrapped his small, furry arms around her legs and held on tight. I am yours, he said. You are my human. Ran to join him, hugging his waist. Mine too. Hesitated for only a moment. Then he walked over and stood beside. He did not hug her, but he pressed his shoulder against her side. I am still the leader of our pack, he said proudly, "but I suppose you can be part of it." Laughed and put her arms around all three of them. "I am honored to be in your pack." Watched this scene with confusion on his face. He did not understand what he was seeing, but did, and for just a moment the great warrior smiled. Perhaps there was something to learn from this small, soft human after all. A month had passed since the meeting with the cubs' parents. Life at station had changed in ways no one expected. It started small. Other species began to notice the cubs playing in the common areas instead of hiding in their room. They saw walking through the hallways with three furry shadows following close behind her. They saw something that many thought was impossible: children laughing and playing like normal kids. Word spread through the station. The scary predator cubs had been tamed by a tiny human with no weapons and no armor. She had done it with nothing but kindness and love. Some species did not believe it. They had to see for themselves. "May we come in?" asked a mother one afternoon. She stood at the door of the playroom with her own child hiding behind her armored legs. The child had a shell like a turtle and big scared eyes. Smiled warmly. "Of course, everyone is welcome here." The cubs looked up from their game. In the old days they would have growled at the visitors. They would have tried to scare them away. But not anymore. "Hello," said politely. "Would you like to play with us?" The mother nearly fainted from shock. A cub being polite, offering to play, it was unheard of. Her child peeked out from behind her legs. "Really? You want to play with me?" "Yes," said she. Held up a ball. "We are playing catch. Do you know how to catch?" The child nodded shyly and walked forward. Within minutes, the four children were running around the room, tossing the ball back and forth. Their laughter echoed off the walls. The mother sat down next to. Her shell made a clicking sound as she settled onto the mat. "How did you do this?" she asked quietly. "The whole station was afraid of those cubs. My child used to have nightmares about them." Watched the children play. Her heart was full of warmth. "I did not do anything special. I just treated them like children instead of monsters." "But they are predators. Their species has fought wars across the galaxy." "Yes, they are predators," agreed. "But they are also just kids. All children want the same things: to be loved, to be safe, to feel like they belong." The cubs were trying to scare everyone because they did not know any other way to connect. The mother thought about this. She watched her child laugh as Bren gently tossed the ball to her. The little was being so careful not to throw too hard. "You have given this station a gift," the mother said finally. "I hope you know that." Smiled but said nothing. Over the next few weeks, more and more children came to the playroom. Tall children and short children. Scaly children and furry children. Children with wings and children with tentacles. The room that had once been avoided by everyone became the most popular place on the station. And at the center of it, all were three cubs who had once been feared by everyone. Discovered that he loved teaching other kids how to climb the tall structures. He was patient and kind, always helping the smaller ones reach the next level. Found that she had a talent for making shy children feel welcome. She would sit with the quiet ones and talk to them until they felt brave enough to join the group. Bren became the protector of the youngest children. Whenever someone was scared or sad, he would sit beside them and let them hold his paw. His fur was soft and warm, and it always made the little ones feel better. But not everyone was happy with these changes. One day, a group of traders came to the station. They were tall and thin with blue skin and cold eyes. They were known for their cruelty and their love of power. When they heard about the famous cubs who had become gentle, they laughed with scorn. "Pathetic," said their leader, a trader named. "They were once a proud warrior race. Now their cubs play with weak species and follow a human around like pets." His words spread through the station. Some species agreed with him. They whispered that the cubs had lost their way. They said that had ruined them. The cubs heard these whispers, and for the first time in weeks, felt the old anger rising in his chest. "They call us weak," he growled that evening. The playroom was empty now. Only and the cubs remained. "They say we have lost our honor." Knelt down beside him. "Do you feel weak?" "No," he admitted. "I feel stronger than ever, but their words still hurt." "Words can hurt," agreed. "But here is something important to remember. The people who laugh at kindness are usually afraid of it. They do not understand it, so they mock it." His tail swished with frustration. "But they are making others think bad things about us. Some of the children stopped coming to play because their parents heard the traders talking." This was true. The playroom had been less crowded lately. Some families had started keeping their children away. Bren looked up with worried eyes. "What do we do?" Thought for a long moment. Then she stood up with determination in her eyes. "We show them," she said. "We show everyone that being gentle is not the same as being weak." Hal asked. Smiled. It was a strange smile, warm, but with a hint of something fierce underneath. "The station has a festival next week, right? With games and competitions." The cubs nodded. "Then we will enter, all of us together, and we will show this station what real strength looks like." The cubs looked at each other. Slowly their worried faces changed. Determination replaced doubt. Fire replaced fear. "Yes," said, his voice was strong, "we will show them." For the next week and the cubs trained together. They practiced for the obstacle race. They practiced for the team challenges. They worked harder than they had ever worked before. But they did not train like warriors preparing for battle. They trained like a family preparing for a game. There was laughter and encouragement. When one of them failed, the others helped them up. When one of them succeeded, everyone cheered. Other species watched their training with curiosity. They saw the human woman running alongside the cubs. They saw her encouraging them with kind words. They saw something that looked nothing like weakness. On the morning of the festival, the cubs stood at the starting line of the obstacle course. They were surrounded by teams from all over the station. Many of the teams were bigger and older. Some were professional athletes. The trader was watching from the crowd. His cold smile said that he expected the cubs to fail. Stood on the sidelines. She caught each cub's eye and nodded. "Remember," she had told them that morning, "you are not trying to prove anything to anyone else. You are doing this for yourselves, for each other, for our family." The starting horn sounded. The cubs ran. And the station watched in amazement as 3 small cubs moved like a perfect team. Led the way, finding the best path through obstacles. Used her speed to scout ahead and warn of dangers. Bren stayed close to his siblings, ready to help if anyone stumbled. They did not win. A team of adult athletes crossed the finish line first. But when the cubs finished, the crowd was silent with respect. They had competed with honor. They had shown skill and teamwork. And most importantly, they had shown that being gentle did not mean being weak. Smile had disappeared. Ran onto the course and swept all 3 cubs into her arms. She was crying and laughing at the same time. "My brave little bobbies," she said, hugging them tight. "I am so proud of you." And for once, no one in the crowd laughed at her words. They understood now. Bravery came in many forms, and this small human had found it in 3 children that everyone else had feared. 1 year had passed since first arrived at station. The playroom where she had once faced 3 growling cubs was now the heart of the station's community. Children of all species played there every day. Parents gathered to talk and share stories, and at the center of it all stood a human woman who had changed everything. But today was different. Today was a sad day. His 2-year assignment was ending. It was time for her to return to Earth. The news had spread through the station like a cold wind. No one wanted to believe it. Surely there must be some mistake. Surely the human who had brought so much warmth to station would not really leave. But it was true. Had packed her small bag, the same bag she had carried when she first arrived. In the playroom, the three cubs sat close together. They were bigger now. Their fur was thicker, and their eyes had lost some of their wild yellow glow, but they still looked like children who were about to lose someone very important. "She cannot leave," Bren said quietly, his voice cracked. "She is our human, she belongs with us." Pressed against her brother's side, "Maybe we can go with her to Earth, we could live there." Shook his head slowly. He was the leader, and he had to be strong, but his heart felt like it was breaking into 1,000 pieces. "Earth is not for," he said. "Our parents are here, our duties are here, and has her own life to return to." The door to the playroom opened. Walked in, carrying her bag. Behind her came a crowd of people, administrator, the cubs' parents, and dozens of families who had become part of their extended community. His eyes were red from crying, but she smiled when she saw her cubs. "There you are," she said softly, "my brave little bobbies." The cubs ran to her. They crashed into her body with the force of their love, wrapping their furry arms around her, dropped her bag and held them tight. "Please do not go," Bren whispered into her shirt. "Please." Stroked his fur. Her tears fell onto his head. "I do not want to go, you must believe me. Leaving you three is the hardest thing I have ever done." "Then stay," begged. "Stay here with us forever." Knelt down so she could look at each of them. She took a moment to memorize their faces, with his proud eyes, with her quick smile, Bren with his gentle heart. "Do you remember what I told you when we first met?" she asked. "I told you that I would always be here for you, that no matter what you did, I would not run away." The cubs nodded. "That has not changed," said. "I may be going far away in body, but I will never be far from you in spirit. Every time you are kind to someone smaller than you, I will be there. Every time you choose gentleness over cruelty, I will be there. Every time you remember that strength is not about making others afraid, I will be there." She pulled them close again. "You have become so much more than anyone believed you could be," she continued. "When I first arrived, everyone thought you were monsters. Now look at you. You are leaders. You are teachers. You are friends to every child on this station. And I am so proud of you." Pulled back slightly, he looked at with determination in his eyes. "We will not forget what you taught us," he said. His voice was steady despite the tears on his furry cheeks. "We will keep being brave. We will keep being kind. We will make you proud every single day." "You already make me proud," said. "You made me proud from the very first moment you tried to scare me with those adorable little growls." Despite everything, the cubs laughed. It was a wet, sad laugh, but it was still a laugh. Stepped forward. The great warrior knelt down beside, a gesture of respect that she had never shown to anyone before. "Human," she said, "you came to this station as a stranger. You are leaving as family. Do not forget those who show kindness to our cubs. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you will always have allies among our people." Nodded gruffly. His attitude had changed over the past year. He still did not fully understand humans, but he respected deeply. "If anyone ever threatens you," he said, "send word, the will come." Smiled through her tears. "Thank you, both of you, for trusting me with your children." Administrator cleared his throat. All 6 of his eyes were moist. "The shuttle will depart in 1 hour," he said. "But before you go, there is something the station wishes to present to you." He gestured, and 2 workers came forward carrying a large frame. Inside the frame was a picture, a painting of surrounded by children of many different species. At the center were 3 cubs with bright eyes and happy smiles. "This will hang in the main hall of station," said, "so that everyone who comes here will know about the human who taught us that love is the greatest strength of all." Could not speak. She covered her mouth with her hand as more tears fell. One by one, the families came forward to say goodbye. Parents thanked her for helping their children. Children hugged her and cried. Friends pressed small gifts into her hands. But eventually the hour passed. It was time to go. the cubs walked with to the shuttle bay. They held her hands the entire way, on one side, on the other, and Bren holding onto the back of her shirt. At the shuttle door, turned to face them one last time. "Before I go," she said, "I want you to promise me something." "Anything," the cubs said together. Smiled. It was the same warm smile she had given them on that first day, when they had tried so hard to scare her, and she had picked them up and called them her brave little bobbies. "Promise me that you will love each other. Promise me that you will take care of each other. Promise me that when new children come to this station, scared and alone, you will show them the same kindness that I showed you." "We promise," said. "We promise," repeated. "We promise forever," Bryn added. Hugged them one last time. She held them so tight that it seemed like she would never let go, but eventually she did. She picked up her bag and walked toward the shuttle. At the door, she turned back one more time. "Goodbye, my brave little bobbies," she said. "I love you. I will always love you." Then she was gone. The cubs stood at the window, watching as the shuttle lifted off and flew toward the stars. They watched until it was just a tiny light in the darkness. They watched until even that light disappeared. Then Bryn felt something touch his paw. He looked down and saw a small child, with a shell and big scared eyes. The same child who had been the first to play with them all those months ago. "Are you okay?" the child asked. Bryn thought about it. He thought about and everything she had taught them. He thought about the warmth she had brought into their lives. He thought about the family they had become. Then he smiled a real smile, full of love and hope. "Yes," he said, "we are okay, and do you know what? We are going to make sure everyone else is okay too." He took the child's hand and led them back toward the playroom. And followed, they walked with their heads held high. Because that was what would have wanted. That was what brave little bobbies did. They loved, they were kind, they made the universe a little bit brighter. And somewhere traveling through the stars, a human woman smiled.